When I started Finders Keepers, it was to chase and discover surf culture that had been locked in old VHS movies and surfboard designs. There's a lot of times that those two go hand in hand, and there's really no better example of that than the unmarked Green Bonzer that was ridden in Chris Malloy and Taylor Steele's movie Shelter. Shelter really stood differently from most surf films of its time. It has a patchwork of sections and viewpoints from the surfers in that era, and the oddity of that five-fin Bonzer seemed to fit the different rhythm of that movie perfectly. To start the learning, I followed that story to the beginning of the design and sat down with Duncan Campbell, him and his brother being the inventors of the Bonzer surfboard.
68, 69, that's when everything started changing. We were such students of 1969, 1970 Australian surfing revolution. You know, the idea of the three fins really was just coming from, the boards really weren't working for the most part. You know, we realized that the rail line is where the drive was coming from, along with a center fin on a transitional short board or even a long board. And without the length, you know, the boards lost speed really fast. But the fins were always behind the center fin. We put them in front. That's where the drive is. That's where it all happened, was engaging those fins first. In 2 years we had it, and nothing's really changed except better shaping. The boards that we went to Bing in '73, and they took off with it, and best surfers in the world were riding them by 1973. So the five fin came in really from, okay, Bonzer's been around for 10 years already, and then thruster came in. So we decided just to break up the runners and just make it into a new looking Bonzer. Same fin area, same fin position, it just visibly looks different, and it's an evolving design. Taylor and those guys, you know, the Shelter crew championing the five fin. Thicker Than Water had a green board episode in it, of that green board everybody played around with. So they wanted to roll that into the next film, which was going to be Shelter, and the next film was going to be an homage to Morning of the Earth, which is our origin story as well. So it all kind of was a perfect fit. The impact of that, 3 waves. And it's basically 3 waves, if you think about it. I mean, everybody's surfing good in that movie, but there's something about what was going on.
Dan and Taylor Knox started riding them a lot. And then there was like a new energy in the late 90s with the Bonzers. And it was neat because I think they were seen as kind of an oddity by people, even like people that like knew those eras and stuff were like, oh yeah. And then like it was like, I was so familiar. I had such a history with those boards. And I think Dan showed up with that board. I think that, and then like the green, I always was like, was that a nod to the Thicker Than Water green board, or was that just its own, like it was just random because it's the same exact green? So I just remember seeing it and being like, rad, like I can't wait to shoot that thing, you know? And then Donovan like really gravitated to it. And then he surfed it so well. There was one really fun day in Gary, and like Batty Treeler's there, and Duncan's there, and like TK's just shredding it. And like, I remember Duncan just like going into this like cool, such a cool, he's like, it's happening. It's happening. Like it was all these worlds, they came together, and that was like one of the, for whatever exactly it meant to him, just to, you know, be inspired by, he was inspired by Morning of the Earth. They're out building boards, and then to have Batty right there and Taylor surfing beautifully on that board, and I could tell, like it felt like, you know, it's like, that's why we're here. Like this is what this is all about, you know.
Oh, this thing is rad. This is Jake. Yeah, Jake shipping this one. Who did? Yeah, no. Jacob. Yeah. Wow. And this, I just asked for the board from Shelter, and I don't know if it is or not. They definitely put the spray on it, but you rode the board. That was my goal, was like trying to get back to that vintage feeling. Oh, dude, you're there. I mean, wait, so you're still pushing it, and you're changing the design a little bit by little bit. Yeah, I think it can be improved, and they're all about it. They love it, because they didn't think about it. Thrusters have had every best surfer in the world for 40 years riding, and we find they've had like, what, a few people come to them with feedback? That's right. You know? Yeah. I'm fired up to get some lefts. I haven't really wrote it on my forehand. Oh, dude, you're gonna light up these lefts so hard. People are not gonna know what's happening right now. When Shelter came, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, I thought it was a brilliant idea. It wasn't my idea, but the Malloys did come up with that.
Yeah.
You know, that, and then having it be like, you know, bigger than today and like solid.
Yeah.
And being on that 6'4" Bonzer.
That's right.
And being out there on that point break with that board, I kind of felt like I had a leg up on a lot of guys because I'd spent some time on
It looked
there.
like it. It looked like you were loving that.
Yeah, I was loving it, you know, and so yeah, I mean, I just kind of took to it, and I didn't know what was going to become of it, and I ended up having one session out there, just me and Batty, who was one of the stars
For
of
sure,
Morning of the
from
Earth.
Morning of the Earth.
Yeah. So I was on the beach with Duncan. Everyone was getting out. Everyone was done surfing, and nobody was in the water. And it was like 8 foot and a little onshore. Not one soul. And then Duncan goes, "That's Batty," and Batty runs down the trail to go out surfing. And he goes, "Go out there and jump off the rocks with him and go surf with him." And it was just like me and Batty out alone at Angary for like
so
2
special.
hours. It was really special.
I feel like with my surf films, I'm always was trying to communicate like what my experience, right? And so, you know, when we were filming Shelter, it was like it's like the timing came together. Like, you know, Bob McTavish is at Broken Head, and like, you know, nobody at that time like cares about what his contribution to surfing, and like getting to shadow him for a week, and then there's John Peck, and like sitting with him and just listening. I mean, I would like hear like a cymbal and like change the session because like there's bubbles coming up from a water shot that like match that perfect, and like I just spend hours doing that stuff. But I think that stuff matters. I think it's just like for the music to work with the little subtle like movement of water or a rail or something like that. Putting that little extra like time into like that flow and how things cut together. That to me was the fun part. That's movie making to me, you know, and definitely spent a lot of time editing those things because it was fun, you know.
Getting to sit down with Duncan Campbell, Chris Malloy, and chat on the backstories of the movie Shelter, this episode has been insane. At the end of it, for me to get some great waves in Hawaii was just the cherry on top of the cake.
Run, run, river, carry me to my home in the ocean, carry me away. I know I have a home somewhere far, and we'll move like the stars that make you feel like you got friends. Stars will make you feel like you got friends. Follow the empty valley, past the hills, to the marshes of the estuary, calm and peaceful river. In the light of the moon, with the river, I do run in the hope that one day I will dive beneath the ocean, and that this river will forever run.